day. It's disappointing.
A lot of Ornn for Hoon lately.
That's too bad. Wonder what the first pick will be. Azir being banned, that had been a go-to. Even though there's been some Wukong nerfs, it's not a terrible choice, especially with Trundle being banned.
See how they end up responding to the bans that have been brought forth thus far. So EG with that Wukong pick. Dignitas will have to shake things up because of that Ornn ban and beyond, but I'm sure they have been preparing for that possibility considering how much Ornn that Hoon has played as of late. But you want to go for those priorities right at the top. Last game that we witnessed, Sivir was actually banned away.
Yeah.
But every time she's not on the ban block, she's making her way into the game.
Yeah, Sivir super strong, Zeri, Kalista both super strong. Kalista was the one banned away by EG, so likely that we'll end up seeing a Zeri out of Danny, but not guaranteed. I also do just generally like Sivir for Dignitas if they're going to try and play a scaling front-to-back team competition, which if they're thinking that they can win through scaling, this is like a do or die situation really for Dignitas, for Immortals, so I don't fault them for going for these scaling team competitions if they really feel like it's the best way for them to win.
It kind of leans into some of the ideas that you hear about these teams in this later portion. All right, I heard the cheers from the crowd because they know what can happen when there's Zeri with a kitty cat on her back. Danny, very, very good on that pick. But yes, even Blabber talking in a recent interview about, teams later on, they start to bring out the tanks, they start to bring out that stability when you're fighting for that spot going into playoffs. We saw that from Immortals last game, and Dignitas looking to do some of the same. Lulu there really to be able to help that engage get started in these fights. Yeah,
Enchanters, here we come, that's for sure. That's been such an injection throughout the summer split. More Yuumi, more Lulu, more Nami, rather than just the consistent tank play we've seen for so long. But yeah, I was having this conversation in the green room yesterday, actually, when we saw Danny on Zeri then, and we're like, what's like the percentage chance he gets a pentakill in this game? Like, they're not even that likely, but for some reason it feels like when Zeri and Yuumi are in the game, that chance just gets multiplied so much, and Danny. So 3 pentakill multipliers here. Maybe we'll see back-to-back games with pentakills.
Does lean so much into the strengths, not just of Danny, but the way that EG like to play it.
Yeah.
Their consistency in the team fights, and Danny has been extremely good in being able to output that damage, position correctly so he doesn't get picked off, so he can finish him off in the right way. So when you have a pick like Zeri, that's where she thrives, chasing him down later on in the game, that's where Danny's a happy boy.
Yeah, he just gets so fast. Yuumi makes it even faster. Only thing that gets in the way is if Jojo or Impact pick a champ with too much damage rather than just frontline. I'm really curious what Impact is going to end up playing into the Sejuani. Gwen is the unbanned champion right now that I think is most likely, but we'll see if he has anything else in his back pocket.
And he's played a lot of Gwen, but that's probably why Dignitas take the Gwen away in the bans here. So EG and Dignitas both have their bot lanes locked in. Still needing a jungler for Dignitas' side. They know the direction that EG is going.
Yeah, a lot of jungle bans thrown towards eXyu, but here comes Vi once again. We got to see Jose Diodo pilot it last game. That is a way of at least having a small chance of locking down Zeri. Just press the R on the very, very fast AD carry.
Another target for Biofrost to help to protect when getting into that backline as well. So if you want to make sure you cut EG off at the seams. 2 days in a row, we've got the hover, but probably not the lock.
Yeah, also it seems like Ahri's a little bit, yes, it's a fine blind pick, but also even better when you're up against a Vi. Gives you a fighting chance of escaping that nearly inescapable gank from Vi.
Way to create some distance.
eXyu!
So we haven't seen some Jax in some time. Was coming through in the earlier portions of the split, but I don't think there has been any Jax from Impact specifically thus far in summer.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope he uses his own Jax skin. I think anytime you have the opportunity to do that in a game, you have to take it. No Lissandra ban, so just more and more one-hit setup for Dignitas. I'm expecting to see maybe even 2 cleanses, but definitely cleanse out of Danny based on the Lulu, Sejuani, and Lissandra. Definitely an early Mikhails is going to come out from Vulcan's Yuumi, because Dignitas is definitely going to be trying to do some point-click kill this game.
Now, with that considered, Dignitas going for that point and click. What's your overall rundown on these comps that have brought through and who you favor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to favor EG, partially just because it's 13-3 versus 3-13, but I do think that if this game goes late, it's going to be ridiculously difficult for Dignitas to actually lock down Zeri. Sure, they have Lissandra Vi, but that's a cleanser, a Mikhails, and overshield by as Golden Guardians and Immortals, so it's really for any of those teams, if they win out, they would make it, but if they go in with 3, then they will be unable to control the outcomes of the other games.
Looking to see what Dignitas can do with this squad. A lot of the switch-ups in roster as of late. They're bringing the entirety of that roster down here to the bot side, see if they can find something sweeping through.
Interesting how they just kind of brute forced 5 people through there. A lot of times you'll see, as Danny sticks away, a lot of times you'll see like Sejuani go in that wall and then 4 people come here to push the Zeri out and then you kind of dash over the wall. Or something sneaky, but just kind of brute forcing 5 people through the lane has a really low chance of getting a kill.
They were looking for it. They do get that deep ward though, so they can gather some intel on where Inspired may be bringing his power right at the top. As Inspired is a jungler who is willing to try a lot of different things as a jungler. Yeah. It's not like somebody that you can read and say, this is exactly how he's going to path. This is exactly what he's going to do. One of the reasons that everyone has talked about him as this front runner for MVP is the pressure it puts on the opposite team when trying to prepare for him and how you can figure out how to lock him down and the impact that he can have on the map. Yeah. So Dignitas prioritizing to gather as much intel as possible right at the top.
Yeah, but I actually would say that because they sent 5 people down bottom, that let Inspired know that he was just going to be able to take red buff, because it almost guaranteed that eXyu was going to have to start on blue side, and it immediately gives, like, that's not something Inspired would have planned before the game. That's purely a reaction to what Dignitas did early game, and now he's going to get 2 camps out of eXyu's jungle, and as long as Jojo can hold mid prio, it's going to be very difficult for eXyu to be able to invade the jungle of Inspired.
That adaptation based on the specific game state, it feels like a very obvious thing, but it's something that is difficult to be able to make that snapshot decision. And that's what he did. He went, he invaded the jungle, was able to make sure to capitalize and reverse basically the intel that Dignitas were trying to accrue for themselves.
Yeah, this is really bad for eXyu because you can see a camp was left up right here like a tiny little raptor. And because they have push mid and actually push bot, there's a chance they can collapse on this fight. He does have a level advantage because he 3-camped and Inspired won't get 3 off of these Raptors, but eXyu really risking a lot by going for this red buff.
There is...
Can he get Inspired?
Worrying if they're going to collapse upon him. Inspired is pretty chunked.
I think he gets it because he got that chunk. Inspired is going to go for level 3. Okay, now he's got all spells.
Wanting to wrap it back.
They've lost bot push, so I think eXyu can just get this. Inspired also has no smite.
Yeah, he's going for it. Vulcan is here, so he can attach to Inspired for the 2v2. Danny also able to get himself over the wall, flash away from eXyu.
Whoa!
Danny's still going for it. He's got the kitty cat now. Heal from Spawn. Some of that additional movement speed to keep Dignitas safe for now, but some summoners used on both sides.
Yeah, that's the type of play eXyu has to go for after Inspired's decision to start at eXyu's red buff. And I think it was played quite well. Instead of just starting the red buff, getting the chunk onto Inspired first, which means Inspired needs to smite to heal up, just buys him enough time to go for that steal. Yes, he ends up burning his flash, but he would have been so much further behind in experience had he not gone for a play like that.
And I'm sure communicating well with the rest of the team too, so that he knew how much time he had before Danny and Vulcan were making their way through. Yeah. Vulcan being the first to rotate as well, just for some of that additional help onto Inspired. And yeah, eXyu able to even things out slightly in that regard. Teleport coming in from mid lane for Blue with a little bit of shopping done in his pocket. Offset the wave that's pushed under the tower, which gives an opening for Jojopyun to do the same.
It does look, though, like it did give EG's bottom lane a little bit more prio. That's actually a temporary 2-level advantage that Danny had over Spawn there. Biofrost, I think, had to spend a little extra time in the jungle to get eXyu the security to take that red buff.
farming advantage down bot, some duking it out over here towards top. And yes, Impact, despite being a while since we've seen the Jace, or not the Jace, the Jax here, it's always going to be a fun one for him to be on, especially with that dueling potential.
Yeah, and good chance of scaling as well. Unable to really push his advantage right now any further just because they had no vision in river and no security. The blue wasn't just going to roam up there as Impact's wave was crashing.
And now with Danny and Vulcan exiting lane for a little bit of time, Spawn was able to pick up a bit more farm for himself. A delay here for Biofrost after some hits from Danny.
Yep, both AD carries making it to Noon Quiver, so completely on timer for both of them. I think Jojo's definitely going to want to do something when he hits 6. There's no heal on Spawn, but specifically no flash on eXyu either, so some type of invader force where they can get eXyu involved in the fight. I think he would be the target for Jojo to go on.
And eXyu hovering over around this bot side. Infernal Dragon has spawned. Going for the sweep here, but Jojo officially at level 6, so is Blue on the opposite side. eXyu not quite in that vicinity, as the junglers are still both on level 4, waiting to build up a bit more.
Oh, this is really clever by Jojo just now. He just spellbooked to cleanse instead of teleport as Lissandra hit 6, so the gank wouldn't have worked if Blue had gone for it.
That foresight to make sure he's preparing. Foresight down here, bot Spawn and Biofrost. You could see them retreating. They kind of saw the fire in the eyes of evil geniuses. So making sure to avoid Inspire's attempt. But Dignitas getting started on this dragon here. They swept it out prior. They've got their control down. They've been setting themselves up for this potential, with Jojo taking that opportunity to rotate over towards the top side. But Hoon playing safely behind the wave, since they know they don't have eyes on the enemy mid laner.
Yeah, lane frozen on Hoon, but he's still in experience range. He's actually been CSing very well in that matchup against Impact Jax, and the fact that Jojo had to hover top lane gives Dignitas the ability to get this first Infernal Dragon, so really well played by Dig to make it out of this one with first strike of the game.
And while there aren't any kills on the board just yet, this is some of that early play at Dignitas, making sure that when you have eXyu as well as Blue and everyone in the vicinity, so if you have any individuals from EG stepping up to that objective, a bit more tools in your belt to make sure that they can't contest it. So early objectives, not a major gold lead on EG's side either, pretty stable.
Yeah, and Dignitas still going to have some playmaking ability. The double cleanse is going to be really hard for them to deal with when they do get into fights, but for now, if they can keep stacking dragons and if they can get a good setup for this next Rift Herald, they're going to put themselves in some pretty solid positions. Nice smite by eXyu as well.
Securing what he had started with Inspired lingering around and giving those hungry eyes. So nice patience for sure. Hoon continuing with the stability, starting to pretty much that same CS lead that he had acquired previously. He was frozen off for a while, so not an opportunity to extend that just yet. But Rift Herald also now becoming a point of contention in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they're going to go for it early. The Zeri is just kind of hovering in river with Yuumi. They had a huge timer to move there, but unable to turn it into anything substantial. Inspired probably didn't want to start Rift Herald because he was one level down on Vi, so it could have been a lost fight if Dignitas managed to follow. Nothing converted yet for EG this game.
No, what do you think of that in terms of where they should be at this time? Is there anyone that you feel should be hitting that go button a little bit harder, or a little bit of a go button right now, though?
Yeah, I think it's generally fine as long as Danny's in a good spot in the game, and he's at 81 CS at 8 minutes and 40 seconds, so they're not uncomfortable with the state of the game. It's just when you see EG versus Dignitas, there is a bit of an expectation that they are going to slam the game, and that just hasn't been the case so far.
Sure, even when talking to Jojo in his post-game interview yesterday, it almost feels like they're trying to make sure that they take this approach where they're not going to let it get into their head, rather, of, oh, it's just Dignitas.
Yeah.
We're very ahead of them. Let's just kind of go into it casually. They want to take these last games as an opportunity to prepare for playoffs as well, with very specific ideas in mind of what they want to work from and work on as a team and individuals.
Yeah, I think they just want to play clean, and right now they're actually going for 2 plays at once, where Jojo had a timer to roam up top lane, and that's actually the second time he's hovered Impact and has been able to get anything done against Hoon. Meanwhile, Inspired is hiding in this bush, really wants to get onto Biofrost or Spawn.
Going on to Spawn, ultimates galore, the root and the exhaust to follow. The burn is tick, tick,
No
tick,
way.
tock, and the clock does stop. Dig survive.
Danny really greeted that. He could have flashed in range earlier to get some damage down onto Spawn, opted not to because they thought they had the kill for sure, but they end up not getting first blood because of it. And that gives a small window for Dignitas to at least start the Rift Herald. It takes a while to kill though. Let's see. It looks like Wukong's zooming out of base with Yuumi right now, so maybe we see a fight at Rift Herald.
Yeah, impacted teleport into lane and immediately blast coning over towards this Rift Herald. Blue is here, eXyu's here, and Jojopyun is also arriving for the party. But Dignitas, even though they spent a lot of time building that up, they don't feel that they can take this fight right now until they get a bit more of a congestion of their team here. It's still a 4v3 if they do try to go for anything there.
That is really interesting that Dignitas didn't try and force something there, because EG was without 3 ultimates from that dive they did bot lane. And even if the Herald had gone over to EG, I think Dignitas could have at least forced a fight, but opt not to. Instead, they're going to try and take control of this red side jungle, as Inspired was able to pick up the Herald.
If you're looking from Dignitas' side and the decision there, it is tough because when you have this pressure, we talked about them kind of bringing these compositions through that are a bit more stable, offer a lot of consistency. I'm going to pause on that just to see if anything happens. A little bit of a throwback there. But that kind of bleeds into game, right? When you see this choice, we could try to go for it, or we could back off and say that's not too much of a loss. It's just one Rift Herald. It's okay. And it feels like teams in this position do often gravitate towards the latter for that reason. A bit of a willingness to try and avoid what they can maybe feel is reckless in the moment, depending on the results.
Yeah, well, especially with how EG has kind of made their bread this year of just winning team fights. So if EG's in a spot, there's like a aura of invincibility sometimes where you think that they have a good reason for being there. This was a case where I think EG was bluffing a little bit, even if it was a very winnable fight for them. But Dignitas did end up kind of giving away a Rift Herald to EG there.
How do you feel in terms of the way EG is placed right now? Yes, some losses, but I actually, when I was reading 10 Thoughts that you had published, you were speaking about how, maybe not index too much into loss against EL because it felt a bit more like a scrim. Is that something that you still believe in going into this week?
Yeah, I think EG is definitely trying to play a lot more stable because they got a little bit out of control against Team Liquid in their loss last week. I do think it had a lot to do with them playing from home rather than playing in the studio and being more in that loose environment. So here you can see taking some time is Hoon. Is he going to solo kill Jojo?
Played prison onto Jojo. Not enough to finish him off, but was feeling good in that moment.
Yeah, that would have been something to see. 120 CS on that Sejuani. He's definitely laning quite well. And we'll see if that buys enough time for them to start yet another Drake. So like the farm on Danny is good, but the rest of the game has been very neutral for EG.
Never really cresting over that 1K mark in terms of gold, always hovering over the same.
Yeah.
So you're wondering, even though Danny is getting up in farm and continuing to push that lead, you look at other players and Dignitas and Hoon making sure to farm up as well. And Dignitas holding their own. They're taking on this dragon right now, which EG
can't contest it.
Are definitely aware of, but there's no reason for them to step up to this at this moment.
All right, well done by Dignitas to secure the first 2 dragons of the game against the first place team in the league. EG Inspired also not finding a good spot for Herald, so just has to dump it over the wall and hope that it gets there to crash before those turret plates fall. Likely can just walk up. Okay, they'll get a little bit of gold.
Able to usher that through. The numbers advantage to them because they made sure Danny and Vulcan were here if there was a potential contest from Dignitas to make sure Herald didn't get that crash, but did right before that 14-minute mark as well for those plates. So starting to see some more resources going over to EG's side to try and offset the dragons that were prioritized by Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, 0 kills and 2 dragons to 0 for Dignitas is not the start you would expect in EG versus Dig. So Dig definitely making a game of this one. We do know that there is that, I guess, ticking time bomb of Zeri Yuumi that definitely has the potential to take over this game once he gets to his items. So I don't think EG is panicking, but it is at the point, though, where if they lose a critical team fight around Next Dragon, the game could get very dicey for EG.
And they do have quite a bit of time until they get into that territory, 3:40 on the clock, until that soul point becomes an option. And we've seen that Danny and Vulcan have been fine staying in lane for the most part until now. Vulcan's deciding to keep company to Inspired as he makes his way through the jungle. A little bit of an opportunity for Danny to just continue to farm up effectively.
Yeah, the way EG has played League of Legends for the past year and a half has been all about maximizing the amount of gold and experience Danny can get so that he can win team fights, which is where he's absolutely at his strongest. So he actually hasn't been amazing at getting advantages for himself, but the macro that EG plays generates a lot of gold for Danny. He's definitely improved in his individual ability to lane, but this is very classic EG in terms of getting back into playoff form, and we're gonna see a fight.
Well, eXyu knows it there, gets exhausted on the intake, pulling a few of them in. Teleport coming on the backside. Ultimate utilized by Yuumi here. Vulcan throwing it out. They don't lose anybody on this, though. They still got the turret. Blue circling around through Try. Wants to find the angle here on Lissandra. Has the ultimate at the ready. Stun up onto Danny, who dashes on out of it. Second teleport coming in for Dignitas. Hoon rejoining here with eXyu, and still not a single kill in this game.
Yeah, overforced there by Dignitas, and that's going to be something to track for the rest of this game. Look at what they burned there. They burned 2 teleports, a Lissandra ultimate, a Sivir ultimate, a Vi ultimate. They didn't even get close to getting a kill in a 5v3, so that's not necessarily going to get much better for them. They do get the turret down for Sivir, which denies Danny a little bit of standing gold because he did successfully get pushed off the wave, but overall that's a very positive play for EG.
And when you saw Lissandra coming in, as far as that play working out well for EG, I think Danny knew exactly where Blue was looking and made sure to keep hold of that Spark Surge so he could escape kind of to the outer skirts of the turret and create more distance that they would have to try to follow. So just well played from EG here. Hoon and eXyu. 2v1 over on the top side, Inspired nearby, but Impact is nice and healthy. He is not surpassing kind of that line of scrimmage unless he has to, and has been left alone for a bit of time to do as he pleases with those teleports being executed by Dignitas on the bot side. That also means they won't have them for some of these next engages. Like this Rift Herald, though, all of them in the vicinity, they can take it down, just moving as an entire team unit. So even though that first Rift Herald taken over by Inspired, Dignitas bringing it back with a second one for themselves, and those dragons still too. Jojo, though, getting to clear out on this bot side and more damage onto the turret.
Really, really important moment in the game coming up here with the third dragon spawning in 50 seconds. So Hoon doesn't have teleport. He needs to shove this wave, get back to base, and then path out towards mid lane. What I'd like to see from Dig, they're gonna hold Sivir mid lane here. If they drop the Herald, EG's gonna be forced to respond to it, and then they can possibly clear this vision in here and set up for the third dragon. If they can get in good position, they have a decent chance of securing this third Drake, but EG doesn't want to give up that mid prior.
And it's a very classic play going into the back. Vi's got the ultimate down. Knockups and teleport coming in from EG, from 2 of them actually. Wild Growth onto eXyu, tries to escape but cannot. Hoon is the next target. They want to get that Sejuani, and they're going to do exactly that. Danny with the kill credit. First 2 kills we have seen of the game, and Evil Geniuses come out on top.
Oh, you could see what Dignitas wanted to do. They thought Danny had overstepped because they got his cleanse in the previous fight, but he is just so damn slippery. Flash, Yuumi speed, skating over half of that wall, and actually it's eXyu kind of killing himself. Like, look at this. Look at where he's actually standing. You totally understand why Dig goes for this, but Flash and getting partially into that wall makes it too difficult for Dig to follow up, and they get the 2 kills.
Meanwhile, on the top side, with that knowledge that EG was finishing everything that just went down on bot, they do manage to take down Impact. So Dignitas wanting to find a way to trade the pressure that Evil Geniuses are executing elsewhere, as Jojo just took down the second turret.
Yeah, and it's Dignitas that needs to be making these plays. That's why they brought the Sivir, that's why they brought so much hard CC. So good job for them being able to make that rotation up to top lane, at least get the kill onto Impact. But it's going to be that slippery Zeri. That's going to be a story of this game. How can they actually do damage to Danny before Danny kills them all.
Which is difficult because you look at that moment where eXyu getting the ult off. Biofrost though, ooh, charmed and blasted. eXyu making sure to escape over the wall. So Evil Geniuses pick up another one. But again, you look at that, you can tell as soon as Vi is able to get onto Danny. So even Vulcan just saying, okay, I'm just gonna get on you. You're gonna get a little fast, use your dash away towards the turret. And all of a sudden, what looked like a fine angle becomes one that is not necessarily as pretty for Dignitas. So if that's what you're facing against EG, who have such a fast response time, it's a difficult place to be.
Yeah, and he's got shield bow, and Danny does trend towards the slightly tankier Zeri builds, but this is the types of plays they need to make. Jojo's got no cleanse at the moment.
Dignitas will have numbers advantage after Hoon comes through, making sure to secure Jojo coming out of stasis. Charm response onto Blue, but he's got a turret right here that he's just gonna run right into. A kill for Dignitas.
Stopwatch buys enough time for Vulcan to get away, though. Vulcan's got to give him a little thumbs up on the way out for saving his life, because look at the side lane pressure that EG's trying to threaten. We got Zeri in mid, Jackson bot. But Dignitas is going to go for that second-tier turret as they drop Rift Herald in the top lane.
It is great for them that they're able to finish that off. And Biofrost, though, Flash and Wild Growth used after Inspired pushes forward with Vulcan. At least Dignitas are able to get the charge as intended.
Okay.
They finished off that turret so they could get the charge onto the tier 2. And all the while Blue has to answer Impact, because even though they did focus him just not that long ago, he's off in a side lane, he's pushing the waves, and that's a threat that you'll be hard-pressed to ignore as the game goes on.
Yeah, and at the moment, Impact is kind of trying to go to the side lane where Sejuani is not, because he doesn't make much of a dent into that Frozen Heart, Frostfire Gauntlet beast up there that Hoon has become. So when he's up against Lissandra, he can actually do a fair bit of work. And the hull breaker that he just completed is likely going to help with that split push as well. So don't expect Impact to show up in team fights that often. I think he's mostly just going to be pushing side lanes. And then the rest of EG is going to be daring Dignitas to try and overdive them.
And when you're looking at the remaining members of EG and focusing on that disengage, if Dignitas try to aggress at any time that Impact is seen elsewhere on the map, whereas Impact wants to hold on to that Unleashed teleport for later, for to be able to join the team. Spawn the subject now. Into the back, eXyu goes. Can he turn it around?
Not it.
Goes golden, goes gray screen. Jojo once more. Biofrost right in the line of fire. Impact coming on through with a counter strike to keep himself in it. And Evil Geniuses, they take down 3. They're feeling good off of that one.
Just like that, they take full control of the game. eXyu felt trapped, tried to ult in, but there was just no touching that Zeri Yuumi. And 22 minutes, 30 seconds, like, this is the cleaner League of Legends that EG wanted to play. It doesn't blow you away in the early game, but they knew that they just needed to get Zeri some items. They know how to play the mid game so well. They forced that fight in the mid lane and they just get a Baron. Now they're 5K up.
There's something about making sure you know where those win conditions lie, and EG definitely does going into this, really taking this fight on.
Yeah, oh, such a good engage there with the Yuumi ultimate, trapping everyone in that corridor. eXyu tries to sacrifice himself to give people a way out, but 3 dashes can close so much distance for Ahri. Charm into the Zeri W over the wall. Such beautiful layering of their spells to pick up 3 kills.
Ahri is a pick that favors those that want to move on forward, and we know Jojo likes to go for the kills when he sees that opening. And you also need to rely on the rest of the team to be able to follow up, so props to Danny and the rest of the squad to make that into a fight that allowed them to take that Baron. Now we have the Red Bull Baron buff going strong for them, so they can just start ushering some of these waves. They're able to crack open so much of the map prior that they can capitalize that much more when they're wearing purple.
Yeah, they are going to be maximizing their gold here for sure. Interesting with Danny's not even going for a tankier build, actually. He's going to go Infinity Edge. Just feels so confident that Dig doesn't have the damage to kill him.
Danny's been somebody that very much is responsive with the type of build he goes, depending on the needs of the game. I mean, thinking about MF, for instance.
Leander's MF.
Yeah. And
nice.
He was saying, too, when he was talking about how he would build up, pausing on that, Jojo coming in, he's got a teleport here for some support, and Danny and the rest of the squad as well. Another Yuumi ultimate answered by the Wild Growth onto eXyu. Continuously the target of that from Biofrost. and they just have to back off. But look at the space that was created for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, Danny just always feels like he's at full health. It's so sad to watch if you're looking for a Dignitas victory. Jojo bought so much time there. Banshee, Zhonya's like, he knows he's the only one that is actually targetable, so he tries to bring all of the untargetable items into his inventory, and it's just making the game so difficult to play for Dignitas's pick comp.
It's such this wave back and forth because you can see it in the play, in the way that EG is clicking. They know when Blue is looking for that Lissandra angle. They know when eXyu is trying to get into the back with that Vi ultimate. And they have all the tools to set up, but they did get Danny temporarily.
They didn't get him. They really thought he had him.
Hit him with the freeze from Lissandra for a moment's time, but he holds on to that Spark Surge, so as soon as he has a window, he can create that space that he needs to stay alive.
Yeah, if you're a Zeri hater, this game is everything you hate about Zeri. Like,
it really
there's so much lockdown. He's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna dash over this wall that gets me 2 screens away from you.
I know, right there in the jungle, just seeing how long and how far he was surfing that out, and it's like, oh, now Dignitas can't even reach him with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, and I mean, when you have reaction times like Danny, when you're playing in a low ping environment like this, you can play on these margins, and it's just, with Infinity Edge completed now, greater than 10 CS per minute, been fed a couple plates, 11,400 gold. He's just this unstoppable force right now that Dignitas can't get their hands on.
And Impact now forced to face off against Hoon once more, but a bit of a different look because of the way that this map has been cracked open, and feeling much more powerful in trying to offset here. Evil Geniuses, for that patient play early on where it was pretty much a neutral state aside from the neutral objectives. Now a 7.4K lead for them. They found their moment to blast through. Just look, he's like, okay.
Even before he could press R, he's like, I'm out. See ya.
Yeah, throw a laser, jump away. I'm speedy, I'm Danny, I'm on Zeri.
For what it's worth, it only takes one mistake. It really takes one time that they can get in range of him. But here's Inspired.
Double knock up from Inspired, and Vulcan making sure to pop that ultimate so they can continue on through. Spawn does pick up the kill onto the enemy jungler, but falls immediately after the burst down onto Blue is going to be good, and eXyu right in the middle of the pit finds Danny and the cat once more. Jojopyun wants to go for it, gets the charm onto Hoon. Impact jumping on in, circling around with a counter strike. Can he get another slap onto Hoon? He's going for it. Laser slicing through, partially stunned to follow up. Biofrost, the only one standing for Dignitas. Evil Genius just said, oh, there's an inhibitor up, there's a turret up. I don't care. I'm just going to be over by Nexus, because in our heads, this game is done. Nobody up for another 12 seconds, and Evil Geniuses can get that right here.
They have turned this into a rout, and you really realize how strong Impact is as well, especially when he has the Yuumi buff. So Vulcan, tons of good players to be passengers on this game. 2 inhibitors broken, 11,000 gold lead, total control of the game. And you can see Inspired in, and Spawn has to flash right into it because he's got nowhere else to go. Yes, they are able to return a little bit of damage, but just like watch Impact from the flank right here. This is a 3,000 health, level 16 Jack, so when he presses R, it just becomes this tank that's also capable of killing you. So on one hand, they can't actually drop Danny's health bar. On the other hand, they can't peel Jax. It's a disaster.
So much gained off that. You can see right here, both inhibitor turrets and the inhibitors themselves were up prior to that fight, but finishing them off. Double kill for Impact. They got so much, continuing to push those advantages. Over 10K in their lead right now. Long ago had prevented the dragon stacking. That was looking like an early win condition for Dignitas. So they would need this game to go pretty late if they wanted to play into what they've brought with this draft.
Yeah, and with Baron spawning at the moment, I think EG is just hoping Dignitas try and contest it a little bit, because they're ready and willing to just do a hard engage with Wukong, Ahri, Zeri once again, feeling very, very strong. If Dignitas doesn't contest, then EG will likely just take the Baron.
Less for them to have to take on the map right now. Increase in timers, increase in the fighting capability of Evil Geniuses. As we saw, you've got multiple forms of engage from them, whether it be Inspired getting in for the multi-knockup, or Vulcan always here as well.
Yeah, Mikhail's completed for Yuumi. Impact taking on the world.
A large target on his back right now, flashes away, stunned up by Sejuani, jumps on to Biofrost to see if he can take down the Yordle with them. Can't do it, just falls instead. But the rest of Evil Geniuses say, oh, what sacrificial lamb we have thrown over in the lane. What a beautiful Baron for us to shoot down right now. Any yellow in sight? Any Dignitas? No, because Jojo is just setting himself in their face so they can't come towards this. Wants to get the kill onto blue, but also a chance for them to keep pushing up.
Yeah, they don't care that it's 4v5 at the moment. Oh, that's...
Oh, eXyu flashes away. Hasty's gap closer as well. Throws up a thumbs up for good luck. Jojo into stasis he goes, inspired, making sure to tank those shots. They do have just 1-for-1 lost right now. 4 members still up for Evil Geniuses. Same to be said for Dignitas.
Yeah, not the Hex KD was hoping for, that's for sure.
Not quite.
Third inhib going down. Impact's going to be able to teleport in as soon as he respawns. EG's going to hope this is the final push.
And there it is on the super. They take down the last inhibitor here and keep their eyes on the turret. Into the back, Blue has to self-ult, and while he is ulted, Dignitas lose 2, then they lose Blue. Hoon the next one. Impact with the blood in his eyes, but Danny and team, no, we're just going to take down these turrets with the Nexus here. Evil Geniuses, a threat throughout the season, and ain't nothing changed for them in the last week.
Congratulations to Evil Geniuses picking up a solid win over Dignitas and locking themselves into a guaranteed top 2 finish. Another victory tomorrow would give them a 15-3 record, which would easily be the best in their franchise's history, and it would secure them the #1 seed for playoffs. Huge things done by Evil Geniuses in general since they re-entered the LCS. Yeah. And you know that this particular squad, they have their eyes on international. They were MSI representatives. All the fun to be had in the audience here. I'm glad that these are soft. Soft, because I feel like there's a lot of risk of getting hit in the head here. I mean, it's too bad we couldn't have EG in the studio today to enjoy the pool party with us, but it has been... Thank you to all the fans who engaged in the pool party. It's been such a fun day. It really has. It's been fun. I'm glad I got to prepare by dunking myself in the cold water. You know, Kobe's always talking about he does the, the cold showers and stuff, right? To get himself prepped. And I'm like, what if I just do a dunk tank every day? Kobe really sells the cold showers. He says he can't get them cold enough anymore unless he actually invests in something because it's been so warm out, which is why we did the pool party, honestly. It had nothing to do with the skins. It's just been really warm. Yeah. We're all just burning up over here. And I'm like, man, I'm from East Coast. You know how hot it gets on East Coast? This ain't nothing. But, I'll definitely been heating up. But EG haven't lost any of their heat, that's for sure. And, I mean, when you're looking at what their goals were in this game, making sure they play that clean league, making sure they keep those fundamentals online, that's what they did, and I think they can walk away from that as a victory. Yeah, and if they can end 3-0, it's going to give them a good amount of momentum heading into the playoffs. They will have that playoff bye now, so after the game tomorrow, they're going to have at least 2 weeks until they play their next match. So it is important that they can remember what it's like to play slow, controlled League of Legends, because it is just so hard to replicate in the scrim environment that they're going to be in for the next 2 weeks. And that best of territory is also where you see a lot of that flexibility rewarded when you're making sure to practice those different types of play, and Evil Geniuses do not shy away from doing exactly that. That's the end of our, I'm kind of sad, end of our pool party day.